Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Am I,
morning,
au-
sir.
Good morning, sir.
yes,
Morning,
am I
sir.
audible to everyone?
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Right. So today I'm going to talk about, an introduction to the automation as well as the manual testing. So the subsequent topics today I'm going to talk about. So very important testing terminologies and what are the steps are involved into software development lifecycle, and what's differences between manual testing as well as the automation testing, and what are the roles and environments you are going to be undergone while you are working as a testing engineer. Yeah. So now, firstly, whenever we work with the testing, we must be, apart from the conventional methodologies, we're supposed to be understand what exactly cloud is, because nowadays, the web applications are deploying on the, uh, clouds. So whenever we talk about, clouds, so firstly, you should be in a position to define what exactly cloud is, right? So So when we talk about cloud, obviously we cannot define, but the cloud is going to be, we can define in a simple form. Cloud provides SaaS. SaaS is nothing but software as a service. And cloud can be defined as a PaaS, platform as a service. IaaS, infrastructure as a service. Generally, the cloud will be a storage. Even the storage can be a, Firebase, Google Cloud, which is called, GCP, AWS, Azure, ServiceNow, like, etc. These are all, comes under the clouds. Like, the cloud is also storage, but how it is different from each other, these above service will be provided by the cloud. Therefore, we call them, it's very important, as well as the company is also migrating the testing to, to be performed on the, clouds like Azure, all this. Right? Yes. Now comes to how can you define a testing? The question is that define testing. Generally, if I ask you what do you mean by testing, we cannot define properly. But scientifically, programmatically, we have to define testing is the process of finding defects, finding defects by performing verification and validation. See, generally, whenever we purchase whenever we buy a particular product, like, you are going to buy a phone. Will you do the verification and validation? So generally, we perform verification, not validation. Just, whether given features are available or not. This is called, verification. Whereas during development of an application, application, we perform validation. Validation means what? We must give combination and permutation of inputs, and we check expected output by the end of the customer, end of the user, producing outputs or not. This is the validation process. What are the, some validations we are performing generally whenever we buy a particular product. Let us suppose we wanted to check the durability. Durability means, durability or reliability. So we won't check, we can see whether the reliability and durability is there or not a particular product, because, warranties, guarantees we are going to expect as part of the durability and reliability. But, we cannot verify at the time of buying the product. But, these are the things are very important, would be happen during the testing stage. Correct. So this is called, verification and validation is a difference. Clear? Yeah. So now the next is that manual versus automation testing. I'll be define you what exactly manual testing and what exactly automation testing. See, let's suppose if we take a manual testing. What do you mean by manual testing? Human must involve to test a device or software. Manual testing means human intervention is mandatory. Whether expected and actual is equal or not. This is called, manual testing or automation testing. We expect something, but output will be producing something. Are they equal? Then obviously product is working properly. If it is not equal, obviously it is, complaint. It is a defect. It is an error. It is a failure. So manual testing requires, human intervention consistently, and very few applications can be performed within amount of time. But whereas automation and to perform the manual testing, you need not be a skilled from a particular programming language. You need not be a skilled man from the programming language. Whereas automation testing, automation testing, you know, so where In automation testing, we use any one tool such as Selenium, and to perform to perform to perform functional testing. Functional testing is also known as a black box testing. Using any one programming language. Any one programming language. We are using Python. Somebody use Java. Somebody use C Sharp. Somebody use Ruby. Somebody use Groovy. There are a lot of programming languages are there in order to perform the automation Selenium testing. Now, the most recently, just past 2-3 years, I am looking at the Python has more applications are testing. Therefore, I have chosen Python as the programming language, as a scripting language to automate the functional testing or black box testing, to test whether a web application is working fine or not according to our expectations or not. So manual testing take more time, more money, more efforts are required, whereas automation testing within a one particular minute, millions of application can be tested, but human cannot do. Therefore, manual testing become little down to degraded, whereas automation testing become very popular now because human efforts are not going to be required more and more. Yeah. Anyhow, we'll be elaborate more and more in subsequent progressive classes. So please, let me take, there are three important words we are going to be talking in testing life cycle. What is a defect, what is a bug, and what is a failure? In generalized manner, defect in generalized manner, in generalized manner, defect, bug, and failures are look like the same, but their stages are different. Stages means what? Time, we can say. Let's suppose, let me define what is a defect, what is a bug, and what is a failure. First, we will talk about defect. Defect means deviation. Deviation means mismatch. Mismatch between actual and expected results, then it is called as a defect. Something you expect, but it would behave in a different manner. Then it's a deviation between actual and expected results, then it is called, defect, we can say. Whereas the bug is nothing but if when the developer develop an application, when he accepts certain defects by casual attitude, then it is said to be a bug, also cause an error. It is called, it is called as an error. It is also called as an issue. In Jira, there is a bug tracking tool, project management tool, which is Jira, where bug is also called as an issue or maybe an error. Sometimes, developer will develop an application where he don't consider certain abnormal uh, situations, then it is called, bug. Finally, failure. So when the developer will ignore and if it goes to the end user, then it is called, failure. When the defects are reached to the end user, the person who uses the application, and when the application is under maintenance, then it is called as a failure. See, once a failure is going to be occur, obviously the customer call is going to be come from the customer to the developer team. where the you will be getting a lot of scrum calls, retrospective calls. All these you are going to get calls once the failure will be start at a application level. Yeah, right. So in interviews, we used to ask this kind of questions. Please, you have to be carefully understand what do you mean by defect, what do you mean by bug, and what do you mean by failure. I think their times are different. Yeah. So whenever we go in a software industry, before going to test a product or a project, we have to in a position to understand what do you mean by product and what do you mean by project. So already we had a discussion about product and project. Let us recapitulate. So product is nothing but it's a ready to use solution, which means what? MS Media Player, MS Office, WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, these are all, software products. They are ready to use. You need not to do anything. Just download them and try to utilize them. So for everybody's requirement, we develop the products. So we build the company. So built by the company and sold to the different customers or set up as a free resource will be called as a product. If the customer require any changes like colors, title, appearance and all, so minor changes can be acceptable when the product will be released in the market. So just like, we purchase a flat after the construction is completed called, it's a product. So in case if we can do minor changes like paints and interiors can be changed, then it is going to be a product we can say. So let's comes to project. Project is taking all the requirements according to the customer requirements. Let's suppose if in case of the same flat you wanted to purchase, bare body of walls will be shown to you, pillars will be shown to you, then you have to tell how the walls need to be built and how the structure of the layouts is required. So all these will be taking from the client and build. See, sometimes if you company people wanted to build their own customized manner, then the called, it is a project. Right. So if the requirements will be gathered from the particular client time to time, then it is called, project. So therefore, let's suppose purchasing a flat before construction is called, project we can say. So whereas in case of the HDFC Bank application, all banking application, all user defined individual web applications, all are the software projects. They are not software products because we convey them. Let's suppose I wanted to maintain learning management system. All the web application does not provide learning management system related things, isn't it? So we need to build, let's suppose I'll show you one application where, I launched recently a skill to masters. So this application will be, what? Here, if you look at being a student, we can search for the job. This is job portal. If you search for the job, you are going to get some companies. What are the jobs are available? You have to sign up. Native Tech Hub company, you require data scientist, automation engineers. Likewise, the companies will have, and it also have all the India level training institute, whatever the job, like whatever the courses they are offering are going to be available over here, isn't it? So this is how it is a job portal where the job providers will be there, job seekers will be there, students will be there. This is the ecosystem. This application I asked to be, develop ecosystem where three people can be involved in a particular thing. So if you want any kind of a job alerts from the Srini Software Training Institute, please I request you to be sign up here so that you will be get the calls. You will be get the job related alerts from here. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Yeah. So you can construct the project as per the guidelines and requirements given by the client. So banking projects like ICICI, HDFC, e-commerce, Flipkart, Big Basket, all these applications comes under software projects. Yeah. Now comes to software quality. See, whenever we talk about quality of a software, some functional metrics and non-functional metrics comes into picture. Means functional means you can measure, non-functional we cannot measure. Let's suppose if you like a product, like nowadays most of the women are going to use the e-commerce application called as a Misho. If I ask why you have left a Myntra, why you have left a Flipkart, if I ask to girls, they don't have any kind of reasons, but they would say, quality of Misho product delivery, all these price, all these will be reasonable. Therefore, we are using software called Miso, like that. Such kind of questions people would say. So such a so a product, a software is said to be a quality when it meets to certain requirements. So a software is said to be a quality if it satisfies certain requirements: budget, cost, time release, reliability, and as well as performance, compatibility, ease of use. All these metrics are met the requirements from the end user. Then end user is proved that it will be a quality product, because most of the users are going to increase day to day. Depends on the number of customers should become, then the quality of software will be proved. Now I think that would be the important thing in order to understand the quality of a software. Now, most of the percent how the software development would happen, that's a process is called SDLC. S is nothing but software, D is indicates development, L is indicates life, and C is indicates cycle, software development life cycle. What are the stages you are going to get as part of the software development life cycle? Clear? So now firstly, the software development team, one of the candidate is going to be a business analyst. Business analyst, we can also call it as a scrum master. So this guy is going to meet to the client to gather the information, to gather information from the client. Who is client? The person who want a software to be utilized and to be a requirement to be developed, isn't it? So business analyst also called as a BA, correct? So who does a job between the software company to the client, and he will be gather information in a natural sense, natural language. Natural language means sometimes he might be gather the information in Telugu or maybe Hindi, local language he might be collect. But the next stage is going to become, what? The next stage is designing phase, software designing phase. So who is going to involve into software designing phase? Obviously here, designer is going to be involved. Is also called as architect is going to be involved. So what is the job of the designer or architect? Whatever the natural language, which is called BRS, business requirement specification document, collect from the BA, business analyst, then designer prepare SRS document. Means what? Software requirement specification documents, which consisting of class diagram, flow diagram, diagram, sequential diagram, collaboration diagram, some algorithms, All these will be prepared by the designer using certain third-party tools called rational rows, Argo UML, rational doors. Some tools are there commercially available from the company point of view. With the help of them, he will be prepare all these diagrams, whatever, by understanding the natural document which is given BRS document by the business analyst. That software designer will prepare all this. By the time these particular documents are going to be prepared, then the next job is going to become, what developer job is going to become software implementation. They're here, obviously, developers, also called as a coders, also called as a programmers. They will be involved here, and they will be prepare the executable code using the programming language like C, C++, Java, Python, any programming languages. So software development, executable document, like executable code is going to be prepared with the help of certain programming languages. Now, obviously, the next phase is going to be a testing phase. Now here your role is going to be, role is going to be started. Now here what happens? Verification and validation is done by the quality analyst. Quality analyst or test engineer. These are the roles are going to be given to you. So whatever the software developed by the developer, by taking SRS and BRS document from the developer, the software testing engineer will start writing the FRS. FRS nothing but, a functional requirement specifications like, requirements understanding. Yeah. So the finally, once the software testing engineer will verify if client requirements and as well as software producing outputs are equal, then he will be prepare the reports, and he will be freezing the validation of the all the reports. And once if he approve the all the outputs, then obviously software deployment is going to happen. Software deployment is done by the DevOps engineers, AWS DevOps engineers, Azure deployment engineers, all these, maintenance engineers are going to be involved into software deployment process, where the senior most testing engineers also going to be involved into this in order to perform the smoke testing, and as well as, we can say sanity testing. Right. So obviously it will be the alpha testing, beta testing would be does, and which will be deployed in the client location, and then the services will start. So these are the phases where very commonly happens in everywhere in case of the software development lifecycle. Right. So now these are the phases called, this is called as a waterfall model, where, before firstly, project planning would be happen by the business analysts and scrum masters and PMP masters, along with the clients and senior most people will plan the project. What is the estimation of the cost or human resource tools, everything will be estimated. Requirements will be gathered by the business analyst from the client. They will be analyzed, they will be designed, coding will be prepared, testing would happen, deployment would happen. These are the phases generally involved into everywhere of the software development lifecycle. In elaborated manner, in elaborated manner, in SDLC, client requirements towards the software will be collected by business analyst, and the business analyst will be, the designer is going to be transform the natural language information to the ER diagrams, which is entity relationship diagrams, class diagrams, flow diagrams, algorithms. Comes to the third phase is that, so we were, developer which transforms the whatever the data is collected, whatever the designing data documents collected from the designer, he is going to be convert into the code, which is executable code using programming languages. The- So finally, verification and validation would does and installation at a client location would be happen. These are the five phases in elaborated manner in a brief manner we can able to elaborate them. So now let me go with the software testing methods. Like obviously I said, there will be two methods. One is the manual testing, another is the automation testing. What happens in the manual testing? Any software application will be, tested manually by writing a test scenarios, test cases, a generation of the reports, and without the third party tool is called, manual testing. It doesn't require any knowledge. Only you need to have how the application need to be producing the output, and it gives you the output accordingly. Your expectations and the system application outputs are equal, then it is the acceptable application. Automation testing here, transforming the manual test cases into test script using programming language, and by using a programming will be test application. Yes or no? So obviously, what are the things are going to be involved in manual testing process is also called as a static testing process. So here we are going to perform without executing an application, we are going to verify certain defects. What likely to be happen defects are going to be checking by using conducting a peer reviews, checking the designing documents, walkthroughs, inspections, and spelling mistakes, buttons, labels, UI designings, all this would happen manually because we have a golden rules. Golden rules means certain universally accepted rules would be produced by the company people. According to that, if the person is designed properly or not, we'll check. If any remarks will be there, again we are going to inform them to refine them. Likewise, static testing are going to be happen over the SRS and BRS documents. But in manual testing itself, there will be dynamic testing would happen. Like, what are they? So performing a testing execution application about functional testing. Methods are white box testing is called as a unit testing. Black box testing is called as a BPT testing. So white box testing is called as a unit testing. Whatever the code is written by the developer, that code is tested whether it is infinite loop or finite loop programs. System testing, integration testing, and user acceptance testing, all these will be designed and accepted and executed at the dynamic level by the white box testing, right? And validation of the sign in button is correctly working or not in any particular application is called as a one of the functional testing is does as part of the black box testing concept. So being a testing engineer, you will be perform the black box testing, not by the white box testing. But the person who is performing white box testing, software developer will perform the white box testing. That is called, SDET. SDET is the designation. SDET. SDET, which means software development engineering in testing. SDET is nothing but this person will perform white box testing as well as black box testing. Now comes to automation testing. So performing a testing activities by using some automation tools like a automation testing called Selenium and all, then it is we will be called, will be call them, automation testing tools we can call them. Let's suppose, here initial days, we had a QTP tool. This test professional testing is, it is a tool where unified functional testing tool to perform the functional. Now, very popular tool called as a Selenium, which is a open source, which is a open source and it is a free open source where we can able to utilize them to implement using any programming language. Apart from Selenium, we have a tool called as a Lisa, Tosca, Windrunner, Test Complete. There are some RPA related tools we have but most popular, most of the 90% of the software industry use the Selenium as a tool to perform the testing. Therefore, we learn here Selenium as a test tool, or which is a framework in order to perform the functional testing. Yeah. And let me show you some differences between manual testing and automation testing. Right? So we have a, you know, required human testing, required, human interaction to execute the test cases. Whereas automation, it uses the tools to develop and execute the test scripts. So in manual testing required skilled resources, a long time will be high cost, because if you want to recruit a manual testing engineer with a 10 years experience, we need to give minimum 30 lakhs package. But I think now, using an automation, I think a fresher can also does the same task. It saves the time, it saves the cost, manpower also reduce. Therefore, automation testing engineers have a more weightage rather than manual testing engineers. So any kind of application can be tested manually, but automation can be tested very few applications. Like, all the applications we cannot test it. That's a small drawback. But nowadays, full stack development, all these will be allowed to be test all types of applications. And some more differences, like, process of verifying whether the application is implemented correctly or not, called as a verification. Whereas validation means validating whether the application meets the client requirements or not. As per the client requirement, this application need to be produced. But a verification means what? You are not going to test durability, reliability, scalability by the end user. Just whether available or not, we are going to test. So verification means it won't require any execution of an application, right? So validation definitely it requires the execution of application by using a programming. So a verification, it is also known as a static testing, whereas a validation, it is called as a dynamic testing. So we can perform the verification using the methods called as a peer reviews, walkthroughs, and inspections and all. But validation will be performed by using, white box testing as well as a black box testing methods. So during the verification, we find the bugs reports early stages of the development lifecycle, but which is going to be a little cost. But whereas